Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone joining us today for the important and timely webinar hosted by the International Institute of Security and Safety Management. The title of our session is Your Organization CBRN Ready? With a focus on protecting critical infrastructure from chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear threats. We are privileged to have with us three of India's most respected experts in the field. Major General Dr. J.K. Bansal, VSN Chikitsa Ratan. He is former member NDMA and veteran Indian Army and DRD. A globally recognized expert in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear disaster management. Major General Dr. Bansal brings over 35 years of experience across the Army Medical Corps, DRDO, and NDMA. He was instrumental in establishing India's first CRPF mitigation and training center and has led national responses to incidents such as Mayapuri radiation leak and Fukushima monitoring, decorated with the Vishish Seva Medal and Chikitsa Ratan Award. He continues to shape national and global strategy for CBRN safety. Second, I would like to invite Shri Alok Avasthy, Deputy Inspector General of Police, CPRF, and highly experienced disaster management and internal security professional. He has served in all major insurgencies affected regions and the Northeast and LW areas in Chhattisgarh, and also as faculty at the International Security Academy, Mount Abu. Shri Avasthy commanded NDR battalion in Pune for 7 years and led India's first overseas disaster response operation during 2011 Japan tsunami and nuclear crisis. Last but not the least, I am also delighted to introduce Shri Umesh Sharma, ADG Fire Services, Civil Defense and Home Guards, MHA, a techno-administrative expert and strategic experience in the Indian Air Force and Ministry of Home. He has led innovation in emergency communication system, GIS platform, and community-based disaster management, and advised governments on technology-driven preparedness. We have also with us our moderator of the webinar, Professor Santosh Kumar. He is professor and former director, NIDM, and currently serving as CEO of IISSM. Professor Santosh Kumar is a seasoned disaster risk management expert with over 3 decades of experience in policy research and capacity building. As the former executive director of the National Institute of Disaster Management, he has trained thousands of responders and officials in disaster management. A key advisor to national and international, he brings academic depth and practical wisdom to the role of moderator in this high-stake discussion. I request all students to post your question in the chat box. We will take them up during the question and answer segment. And now, without any further delay, I would like to invite our moderator for today's session, Professor Santosh Kumar, CEO of IISSM. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vinod, for giving a very kind of a good opening and introducing all the resource persons very eloquently. On behalf of International Institute of Security and Safety Management, is a very, very old, 35 years old institution serving the nation in building capacity and also bringing that policy advocacy for different level, state level and the national level, and also engaged in the capacity building for the private security personnel. Indeed, our chairman, Shri R.K. Sinha, former member of parliament of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We have Mr. G.M. Shri, chairman of this institute, the Director General of Police formerly in Assam cadre, and Mr. Uday Singh Ji, who is a security stalwarts, is the chairman of the IISSM again. So on behalf of all these executives and the chairman, I extend my heartfelt welcomes to all the panelists, the delegates who have joined, the participants who are joining. Indeed, it's a great kind of a opportunity to discuss this very, very important issue with the 3 stalwarts here, the General Bansal, Mr. Avasthy, and also Mr. Umesh Kumar. These 3 people, what Vinod has mentioned, not news, but for the larger understanding of the audience, it's very important to know that how we are just, I'll give you the information. When I posted this on the LinkedIn yesterday, that IISSM is going to have this kind of a webinar with people. The first question emerged, and as I appreciate that question, the question that who all have soiled their hands in a nuclear emergency and what is their expertise in handling chemical, biological, and nuclear disasters, whether they are trained from India or USA or from any parts of the world, like a kind of a certified person, or just we are engaging with some person who are not acquainted with the subject and also not aware about this. So we are very careful and very confidently responded. Please join the webinar and then you will find the difference. And so, and also send that message that how the people are interested about this, and also the persons are those who are having expertise, they are willing to join this kind of a dialogue. So once again, like I said, that General Bansal, he has remained as a kind of as a nuclear medicine person, and he has served this country at a different level. And I will not share some of the things, facts which he hide with the nation, but it's important that he has been there and is a confidential. So I will not mention that, but he has been there for at a different level, and he is a member of National Disaster Management Authority, and his credentials are kind of beyond doubt. It's a kind of the nuclear biological, as a DRDO person, he has been there, and the research and action both are there with him. We have also Mr. Avasthy. Avasthy, why Mr. Avasthy? And when we are talking about disaster scenario, when the disaster scenario is a very well-known nuclear emergency which happened in 2013 in Japan. That's because of the earthquake, tsunami generated. Tsunami, that whole of the this Sendai area got affected by flooding, and then flooding led to the kind of affecting this nuclear plant. A nuclear plant was mainly for the supply of the power. In Japan, for the information to the audience, 90% of the power supply comes from the nuclear energy, so nuclear plants. So all over, and after that, there's a big debate when this happened, and this nuclear emergency occurred. Government of India sent a team, the National Disaster Response Force, led by Mr. Sumit Avasthy. So he was there, he led the process and also contributed. And after that, Government of Japan, Honorable Prime Minister, sent to our Prime Minister letter of appreciation that how Government of India has actually helped the Government of Japan at the time of crisis by sending nuclear emergency response expert. So that's how the credential which we have. And we have Mr. Umesh Kumar. And Umesh, that goes with a person. With the moment Operation Sindoor happened, I can see he's running from pillar to the post and then taking all those actions required. Actually taking civilians into a great confidence in building capacity. So the kind of capacity building needed for all kinds of emergencies, that's not nuclear, but also biological, also chemical, and also flooding, also tsunami. So all clubbing together. So his role is even much more challenging in terms of when the community capacity building comes in. So I welcome all the three stalwarts and those who have agreed to be the part of the panel. But the idea when we are saying that why today we are doing this, because of the changing geopolitical environment and uncertainties in the country, and also which is we are saying that experts are saying that climate change leading to heat wave leading to climate change is also making us much more vulnerable in terms of the CBRN, disaster threat. Along with this, the war situation, and other than the war situation, disaster situation. If certain kind of an emergency happens, how community individual can respond. So that's what the idea, to inform community. If what are the policy recommendation comes, we will take it forward. And also what the audiences says that their question answer, their queries, how they to get engaged in this kind of a capacity building process in the country. So I would start with General Bansal. Many people are grappling with this idea when we talk about Every time you open the television or the YouTube or social media, you will find asking for nuclear power, becoming nuclear power, and somebody is those who are not having, they are striving for this, and those who are having, they are willing to use this kind of a weapon. So that kind of an honorable Prime Minister has very rightly said that we are prepared and don't give this kind of a threat to the country. So our people are prepared. So in this context, General Bansal, would you like to give some kind of insights, your opening presentation or remarks, that how people should see as a kind of a CBRN as a threat? What is this concept all about? And so that community would start appreciating, understanding things. Because I would remind just the one incident which happened in Mayapuri, that radiation leak. So whole of kind of a country got into a kind of a panic. So idea is to give the fundamental. What is this? The fundamentals of CBRN. Over to you, General Bansal.
Thank you, Professor Santosh Kumar. At the outset, I would like to place on record my appreciation for IISSM, International Institute of Security and Safety Management, to choose this type of topic, which is very, very important otherwise and in present scenario. And I really personally thank you and your team. So now, when you ask about the CBRN, so CBRN has a component of chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. So, of course, the chemical is starting, but since these days the nuclear is more important, and you ask specifically about it, so nuclear why it is so? When we talk about any weapons, there is a conventional weapon. They have mostly two effects, that is heat and blast. That they causes the blast by which the things are being shattered and blasted, and heat effect causing the burns. Now, third thing is radiation, nuclear radiation. The nuclear radiation is very, very important. When we talk about the nuclear weapons enhances the heat blast and radiation effect, which has been seen during Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this is a kind of deterrent. When any country talk about the nuclear bomb use, then this means it is called as MAD, mutually assisted destruction. Means if it starts or any country use, then there is the survival not be possible. So it is basically a deterrent that the other country does not attack on a particular country. But now it has been seen that the country like Russia, which is a responsible country, number of time it was threatened that yes, will use the nuclear bomb. Of course, country like Pakistan, they always talked about the nuclear bomb. So this, of course, Korea and North Korea also always say like this. So these are the certain things. But what is important is that under prevailing circumstances, there is a great threat or great chances falling these nuclear, chemical, or biological agents in the hands of terrorists, which always they can use. When these terrorists, if suppose they use a nuclear material, so this will be a dirty bomb kind of thing, which will have the same effect of heat and blast. However, it will cause the contamination of the area, which will cause great panic and radiation. The radiation will have immediate effect in the form of affecting hemopoietic system, our digestive system, nervous system. At the same time, it has got a very long-lasting effect in the form of cataract, aging, premature aging, cancer, genetic damage, and infertility. So this is the basic thing. Now, when we talk about the dirty bomb, for dirty bomb, one can use the cesium 137 or cobalt 60, a very small amount which can be contaminated. So this is the threat which is there. Other than this, could be accident in nuclear reactor, as happens, which you have just told about this Fukushima, and Mr. Avasthy went over there and he taken care. Similarly, it happened in Chernobyl also. So that could be the things. Now, as far as the chemical is concerned, we know Bhopal gas tragedy, where in 1984 there was a major disaster causing death of nearly 15,000 people, and still people are suffering from them. And of course, which we have seen in 2010, there was a chlorine gas leak in Mumbai port, which we dealt at that time. I was in NDMA. There was a orphan kind of source unclaimed cylinders were there and leak was there, and with that about 150 people were hospitalized, because all depends about the wind direction, and wind direction was towards land, and the people, the students who were in the maritime institute, they got affected. When we talk about Fukushima, the wind direction was on the opposite side, and there was not much of the damage or much of the direct damage. Of course, contamination was there, but it would have been much more if the wind direction would have been on the same side. When we talk about the biological, this anthrax which happens in US in 2001, and there were the spores which were sent to anthrax. Spores were sent at the same time. When we talk about swine flu or the COVID, this is also a kind of biological disaster. Now, biological disaster is can be in the form of a terrorism, or it can be but just release of the this material. So these are the certain things. When we talk about the management of such situation, other than the heat and blast injury, there is a radiation. So any rescue worker working in the field of CBRN scenario, they have to put face masks, gloves, boots, clothing, which reduce the capacity. And when we talk, in addition to heat and blast injury, there's a detection, traction, decontamination, and decorporation. These are the certain different steps. So keeping that in mind, in NDMA, we formulated national guidelines where we invited experts from all over the country, and some places internationally also, because we invited from Interpol, and those guidelines are formulated. Based on those guidelines, then the disaster management or CBRN disaster management plan is written. So if we talk about the guidelines, so these are the guidelines which are for the chemical disaster management. Chemical disaster management, we have the chemical terrorism disaster management. These are the guidelines which formulated at that time. I don't know whether it is visible or not. So then we
Yes, visible.
then
It's
we have
visible.
the guidelines for the nuclear and radiological disaster management. The radiological disaster management guidelines were also formulated, and of course there was the biological disaster also. So these guidelines were somewhere in 2009 and 2010 we formulated in NDMA, and now we had the guidelines for the mass casualty management. When such kind of disaster occurs, the mass casualties are there, and we formulated guidelines for the minimum standard of water, hygiene, sanitation, that how much, what should be the level and how much should be. And lastly, very, very important is because of the effect of any disaster. Now, I can tell you during this, when the attack, India had this Operation Sindoor, at that time, many people, they were having a kind of phobia. So the psychological effect is there, which we call the this PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders. So when there is a trauma, we formulated psychological support and mental health care. So these were the guidelines. Based on these guidelines, there was supposed to be the disaster management plan by NDRF, by SDRF, by the state and NDMA level, and NDRF battalions were created, of course, for the disaster management. If I correctly remember, which Mr. Avasthy will correct me, that we had 2 or 3 battalions for CBRN disaster management, and they have done a wonderful job. Now the problem comes that everywhere the disaster management or NDRF cannot team, the state has to have create the facilities. And what is most important, because there is the multi-dimensional effect of the CBRN, therefore the multi-sectorial, multidisciplinary approach has to be there, where all the stakeholder has to come together to handle and to manage these things. Now, if I talk about it, there has, there at times there has been problems that if there is some material which was doubtful whether it is a radiation material or chemical material, then one has to wait that somebody is coming either from a BARC or some nuclear person or NDR. It takes a lot of time. So what my suggestion or my things will be that yes, there has to be because as you told, I think that the 90 lakh, the private security people who are managing show in the country, whether you take a mall, you take a plant, you take a cinema, or you take any place. So these are the people, I mean private people. And what is expected is that they do all kind of the people expect and approach that yes, they will be able to help in this. So that is very, very important that they should be trained in this matter. And now, you know, there are, of course, various equipment which I'll just pass through the certain slides and will show what equipments are available, which we put at the time of Commonwealth Game 2010, because this was the requirement of all the countries that CBRN security and safety must be there. All venues we have put all detectors. This our teams was there. The 1,500 NDRF persons were employed. Now, at that time when I was in NDMA, we trained not only NDRF, we trained Delhi Police, we trained parliamentary staff, we trained Chandigarh Police, and on request of Himachal Pradesh, we trained their administrative institute uh, students also, and Haryana Institute. So that was why that what we did at that time. I don't know what is the status now, and I established a trauma center, Apex Trauma Center of All India Institute, how to handle CBRN casualty, because these facilities are not available all the hospitals. Actually, I visited many hospitals abroad for the CBRN, whether it's Sweden or Holland or US or UK. So they have got a decontamination room. When such casualty come, they have to pass through that, and only after decontamination they enter. So I will just show a very very small thing which can help in this matter. Say, for example, this is the card, which is a radiation detection card. If it is being carried at least by the team, security team, and the individual is not having, that they can detect if there is any radiation in the atmosphere, because there's a change of color. So this is for detection of radiation. Similarly, for the detection of chemical agents, this kind of card is there, and this has got some leaf inside, and if you peel it off and once it is being exposed, there's a change of color, and depending on the change of color, whether it is a nerve agent, blistering agent, or choking agent, similarly one can just show that these are the available. Now, after detection, then what is important is the protection, and most of the gases or the particle, they enter in body through the inhalation. So one should put a mask. This is the mask which can be put. But when a rescue worker is working, they have to put a special type of mask. This kind of mask has to be there, which has got a filter here. And with this filter, they have to put there, of course, the complete mask. So this mask has got the, even for the drinking of water, there is a separate inlet through which a bottle can be attached. They need not to remove the mask at the time of drinking water. So this is kind of thing is there. Then the gloves are very important. That these are the gloves which they have to put. Now I am now talking about after it is being detected. What is any extra second of a chemical or nuclear agent with the body causes the damage. Therefore, as soon as one can decontaminate or remove that thing, that is very important. For the decontamination, we have got certain products like this is for the chemical. This is a personal decontamination kit for the chemical. And this is also chemicals that you put on the surface and then it causes, it's removed. Say, for example, when we talk about the chemical could be mustard agent, which has got the effect on skin, lungs, and eyes. Similarly, a nerve agent is very dangerous. So these kind of things. Now, when it comes to if there is a when we come to decontamination, the decontamination for the radiation, this is the kit for the decontamination of radiation decontamination kit. So this is the kit for the radiation decontamination. So that can be done at the level on the rescue place by the first responder. But if a team, they can also have a kind of these are the auto injectors. Auto injector in case of a nerve agents. These auto injector are the having antidotes in which there is the atropine and there is the palm. So these palm, they neutralize anything. Now this what this auto injector is, I will try to demonstrate is that these auto injectors, they have got a kind of this cartridge inside, and cartridge inside. So when they are being used, say for example, this is the auto injector. So once this is pressed, this come outside. So this come outside, this press the cartridge, and cartridge release this chemical which goes in the body. So this can be done. So this is for the atropine, and this is for the this palm. So these kind of thing. Now, when we go, say for example, if a nuclear radiation, there for the nuclear radiation, this is the potassium iodide. The potassium iodide blow this thyroid, and in case there is a radiation, this potassium iodide is to be taken immediately within an hour or so. Then it prevent any carcinoma of thyroid. So this potassium iodide is also very important, which can be distributed when there was an apprehension of nuclear Russia, then these tablets were distributed all the citizens over there, and of course they had the bunkers where they were supposed to go inside. Similarly, these days the bunker is also being maintained or being constructed by some celebrities in USA. This Mark Zuckerberg and the Kim Kardashian and Tom Cruise. Similarly, this Bill Gates. So that is one thing. Then these are the other radio. This is the radio gardage, the person blue, which also prevent any absorption of the radiation material. Of course, we have got the injections which is being done, taken in the hospital, being done, used over there. And then there are certain kind of kits are there. These kits has got some eye drops, ointment, etc., which could be used. So what I wanted to tell that these things are very, very important, and as soon as the person is attended is very important. Here, I would like to tell one thing. Of course, we are doing this webinar, and webinar is for the orientation and awareness. But at the same time, the rescue worker or the people who are at the stakeholder, whether they are in the security, whether they are in the any administration, they must learn these things on ground. So my suggestion will be that we can have a kind of hand-on workshop demonstration, which can be done in the International Institute of Security and Safety Management, where the people who are interested, I would like to give this message to all the participants who are in this webinar that they can register themselves in this IISSM, so that we can conduct a hand-on practical demonstration and workshop which they will utilize. And there are certain, I will just run through the few slides which will show what kind of other equipments are used when they have to have it. So this will be very, very useful. And one thing here very important is that, theoretical knowledge is good, but there has to be training on hand and what we call the mock drill. The mock drill will just put the things in practical perspective. That is also very, very important. So now I will just share few slides just to show certain equipment. If the time permit, I don't know whether my time is over. I can take
What I would suggest, General Bansal, thank you very much for that. We will come to the second round. There you can show it to those slides. Am I audible to you?
You are audible. I can hear you. Yes.
So just I wanted to say that whatever you have said, we are discussing, and then we can get back to you for the next round, where you can show that what are the equipments which are important for the capacity building and the training after Macy. Is that okay with you?
I'm fine, everything, because yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have given a broader view and the kind of vulnerability which we have in India, and it's not only happening with the kind of aggression only, but it might happen with the terrorist attack and sabotage also. So we should be aware it's from outside and within also. So these two making us much more kind of is a kind of a challenging situation, that how every citizen should be prepared, and what are the things with the antidotes are there, but how effectively antidotes can be actually informed about the antidotes to the people, and the role you have identified about the largely private sector, private security agencies, that their capacity should be built and all. I would go to Mr. Avasthy, that if we are planning for as a kind of a capacity building, or informing people or informing citizen in terms of with the, say, civil defense is planning, or IISSM is planning, or for that matter any Indian institutions who are engaged in this and they are trying to have this, you have yourself responded to a large scale nuclear emergency. What are your things which you would like to share as a kind of a lessons learned, where we can also draw that these should be included, whether it's a part of the training, is a part of the understanding, and equipments and other thing which General Bansal referred. So, Alok ji, aapke paas.
Thank you very much, sir. General sir has very rightly pointed out the basics. So I'm not going to take much time. I'm going to talk on the practical aspects of CBRN. What is C? C is chemical, B is biological, R is radiological, N is nuclear. It is very important to understand the difference between the R and N. When there is a Chernobyl or Fukushima or Hiroshima, Nagasaki, then that is N, where the neutrons are involved, reactors are involved, where atom bomb is exploded, then it is nuclear. Otherwise, the radiations like the Mayapuri source loss, that was the radiation. So R is that, N is what that I have just cleared it. Now we cannot avoid the radiations. It cannot be seen, it cannot be smelled, it cannot be tested, it can be felt, it cannot be heard, but can be very easily detected. So that is a very important aspect. And we are right now also we are absorbing few amount of radiations like the natural background radiations, cosmic radiation, 0.4 millisievert per year we are absorbing, all of us. Terrestrial from the earth crust we are absorbing. The internal source, our body is also producing the radiations. So we cannot avoid it. For medical examination, for sources like chest X-ray, 10 milliram, lower GI, 900, full mouth, 10 RAM. Likewise, for the heart imaging, tumor imaging, bone imaging, one is everybody is in our society on the day-to-day basis, we are absorbing the radiations. So knowing the radiation is the best thing. You cannot avoid it. But one more important thing I want to mention here, the God has made such a wonderful human body which can recover from these, if damage is up to the limited extent, then our body can recover it. The average radiations doses level perspective from natural background radiation, average 2.4 millisievert per annum to 20 millisievert we are absorbing. Likewise, 1 10-hour air trip, we are absorbing 0.5 to 0.5 millisievert, normal chest X-ray 0.1 to 0.2 millisieverts, major chest X-rays 5 millisieverts. Likewise, all the scans we are absorbing few amount of doses. The basic principle, sir has very specifically cleared it. The detection is the basics. If you are able to detect whether the chemical or the biological or the nuclear, or you take the example of the COVID, you can take example that is a COVID is a biological warfare. Somebody in some theories it is known as a biological warfare, and some it is the spread is due to some reason XYZ. I'm not going to comment on that. You take the example of COVID because all of us has faced it. That was a biological warfare and we faced it. You take it like that. Then the detection was, the tests were there. Easily it can be detected. And for detecting the nuclear, you require equipments. And for detecting the chemical, again, you require the equipments. So detection is required. Then protection, decontamination and training. Now you can see the protection. You take the body, for body protection, mask and the PPE is required. For respiratory protection, mask is required. It is for the individual. For the collective shelter, physical ke liye, for collective shelter, like you stay in the home, you stay inside, the underground bunkers are required. You can make your room as a shelter. Like if you are sitting in a room, if you are able to stop the increase of the air, so you can put the blankets, you can put the ground sheet, you can put the towels and bed sheets, etc., to stop the increase. So it is for the common people how to stop the. You are supposed to develop one barrier. So collective shelters can be developed in your house anywhere. If you are inside, indoors, you are saving yourself from these things. So disseminating the knowledge about the protection, and if you are able to disseminate the knowledge up to the last person, then we will be able to save the human lives in all three aspects, CB and BC, for nuclear, biological and chemical also. I'm going to cover these aspects also. For collective, we can make any room as a collective shelters. For medical protection, General Sir has already thrown some light about the prophylaxis treatment. Like potassium iodide, I have myself consumed while working. When we went to Japan, the doses were suggested by Sir and other NDMA members at that time. I am not sorry, Bhattacharya sir was that member, radiological emergencies. Then he suggested us, and we have consumed that potassium iodide also before going to the Japan. And so medical protection is available. The physical, individual protection, everybody knows after the COVID, that principle is applicable to all kind of disasters, this NBC. The decontamination is again a very important thing. You take a simple bath, you take a bath with a soap and lukewarm water, you wash your hands for the biological. For chemical, you must be very conscious because few chemicals are not water soluble. For removing those chemicals from your body, you have to remove those physically. If you are having the decontaminate with you, that's fine. If you're not having, you can use atta, you can use powder, you can use sand, you can use mitti. If it is sulfur mustard, that is not water soluble. You're supposed to remove it physically. And most of the chemicals are water soluble. So these things are important. If you are able to disseminate those things to the last person, then we can save around 60% of the lives. If after the nuclear explosion, after this Operation Sindoor, I am posted in Kashmir, we have faced lot many things on ground. If after the explosion, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you are survived, you will survive. Because it means न्यूक्लियर बम फटने के बाद आप उस रेंज में नहीं हैं. इफ यू आर अंडर दैट रेंज तो आप इवेपोरेट हो जाएंगे. न्यूक्लियर एक्सप्लोजन ऐसा होता है कि आप पूरे सूरज को पृथ्वी पे ले आए हैं, तो इतनी हीट जनरेट होती है उसमें आप इवेपोरेट हो जाएंगे. अगर आप नहीं हुए हैं तो काफी चांसेस है आप बच जाएंगे. और वो अगर कितनी दूरी पे है, सपोज 20 केटी का बम है तो 5 किलोमीटर तक असर करेगा. उसमें 1-1.5 किलोमीटर में सब एवोपरेट होगा, बाकी को असर नहीं होगा. तो मैं पैनिक करने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसको समझने की जरूरत है. हम जापान में काम करके आए तो ऐसा नहीं है कि रेडिएशन हमने नहीं ली, रेडिएशन ली है, लेकिन जैसे मैंने पहले बताया कि हमारी बॉडी इतनी अच्छी भगवान ने बनाई है कि हम रिकवर कर जाते हैं. तो मेरा एज ए लीडर ये काम था कि रेडिएशन की डोजेस लिमिटेड अमाउंट तक ही हमारे लोग लें. तो ये बेसिक प्रिंसिपल है, डिटेक्शन, प्रोटेक्शन, डिकंटेमिनेशन एंड ट्रेनिंग, रीट्रेनिंग. इसको अगर हम जारी रखेंगे तो हम इससे बच सकते हैं. तो बेसिक इसमें अल्फा पार्टिकल पेपर रोक सकता है, बीटा प्लास्टिक, गामा लेड रोक सकता है, और न्यूट्रॉन्स को कंक्रीट रोक पाएगा. तो इसी तरीके से आपको शेल्टर्स बनाने पड़ेंगे. कोई ऐसा एनबीसी सूट नहीं बना है जो रेडिएशन को रोक ले. रेडिएशन को कैसे कम कर सकते हैं? जो टाइम रेजिस्टेंस एंड शील्डिंग का प्रिंसिपल है, डिक्रीज द पीरियड ऑफ एक्सपोजर. अगर आप कहीं सोर्स है, मायापुरी का भी एनडीआरएफ ने किया था और मुंबई पोर्ट ट्रस्ट केमिकल मेरी टीम ने ही किया था, मैं उस टाइम पूना में था. तो जो रेडियोलॉजिकल का हम पहले बात करें, डिक्रीज द पीरियड ऑफ एक्सपोजर. कहीं अगर रेडिएशन सोर्स है, उसको उठाना है तो एक आदमी उठाएगा तो उसको काफी ज्यादा अमाउंट का मिलेगा. इससे 10 लोग उसको जाके थोड़ा थोड़ा पुश करेंगे तो वो 10 टाइम रिड्यूस हो जाएगा. इंक्रीज द डिस्टेंस, उससे दूरी बढ़ाएंगे तो इनवर्स स्क्वायर लॉ एप्लीकेबल होता है. तो आपके ऊपर असर का जो असर होगा 1/4 हो जाएगा. शील्डिंग, अनवांटेड पर्सन अंदर रहें, उनको बाहर नहीं निकलना है. शेल्टर हो जाए अच्छा, नहीं तो कंक्रीट के घर के अंदर रहेंगे तब भी आप बहुत कुछ बच जाएंगे. एक्यूट रेडिएशन सिंड्रोम, अब जैसे हम रेडिएशन अटैक हो ही गया है, आप एवोपरेट नहीं हुए हैं, तो आप में असर हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. तो इनिशियली आपको क्या आएगा? नोशिया, वोमिटिंग एंड मेलाइस, ये इनिशियल सिम्टम्स होंगे. फिर लेटेंट पीरियड में कैजुअलिटी फील बेटर, रिलेटिवली सिम्टम फ्री. फिर लेट सिम्टम्स में अनकंट्रोल्ड हेमरेज, डिक्रीज रेजिस्टेंस टू इन्फेक्शन, एनीमिया, सीवियर डायरिया, लॉस ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस, सर्कुलेटरी कोलैप्स एंड डेथ. ये आपको जो सिम्टम्स है आपको आइडिया लगेगा कि कितना आपने एक्सपोजर लिया है. द डिलेड सिम्टम भी सर ने सारे कवर किए हैं. लाइफ शॉर्टनिंग, कार्सिनोजेनेसिस, कैटरेक्ट फॉर्मेशन, क्रोनिक डेर्मेटाइटिस, ल्यूकीमिया, डिक्रीज फर्टिलिटी एंड स्टेरिलिटी, एपिलेशन, जेनेटिक म्यूटेशन. ये डिलेड सिम्टम्स है. ये अभी भी जो भी हिरोशिमा नागासाकी के अफेक्टेड लोग हैं उनमें अभी भी कुछ जेनेटिक म्यूटेशन दिखता है. इसी तरीके से चेरनोबिल वालों को भी दिखता है. अब केमिकल वॉरफेयर एजेंट्स की बात करें तो ब्लिस्टर, नर्व, ब्लड एंड चोकिंग. तो ब्लिस्टर एजेंट जो है वो किंग ऑफ केमिकल वॉरफेयर एजेंट माना जाता है, क्योंकि इसको बनाना आसान है, रखना आसान है और असर इसका बहुत डेडली है. लेकिन वही बात है कि अगर इसके लिए हमें ऑटो इंजेक्टर है, अमाइल नाइट्रेट और पाम क्लोराइड का कॉम्बिनेशन है। ये तो बात हो गई कि फोर्स के पर्सन से। अब हम बात आते हैं आम पब्लिक की। आम पब्लिक को अगर इनिशियली साइन सिम्टम्स जो अभी मैं आगे डिस्कस करूंगा, आंख से पानी, नाक से पानी, जलन, इस टाइप की चीजें लगती हैं, तो अगर कुछ भी नहीं है, अगर आप भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी को लें, मिथाइल आइसोसाइनाइड था वो, अगर लोग गर्म पानी सॉरी कपड़े को, रुमाल को पानी में भिगो के अपने नाक पे लगा लेते तो बच जाते। इसी तरीके से अगर आप कहीं फंस गए तो दौड़े नहीं, तो ज्यादा आप पॉइजन को इनहेल करेंगे। आप लेट जाइए, तो कूल एंड काम रहिए, टंकी को अपने मुंह पे लगा लीजिए, काफी चांसेस हैं आप बच जाएंगे। तो ब्लस्टर एजेंट किंग ऑफ केमिकल वारफेयर एजेंट कहलाता है। इसी के ही है नाइट्रोजन मस्टर्ड, आर्सेनिकल्स, नर्व एजेंट सरीन, सोमन, तबून, ब्लड एजेंट हाइड्रोजन साइनाइड, साइनोजन क्लोराइड, चोकिंग एजेंट क्लोरीन एंड फॉस्जीन। बेसिकली मिथाइल आइसोसाइनाइड जो था वो चोकिंग एजेंट था, लेकिन उसको साइनाइड देखते लोगों ने ब्लड एजेंट की तरह ट्रीटमेंट लिया। तो इसमें एक चीज और मैं कहना चाहूंगा, अगर कुछ लोग केमिकल इंडस्ट्रीज के आसपास रहते हैं तो वहाँ के डॉक्टर्स को, वहाँ के मेडिकल स्टोर्स को, इन सबको पता होना चाहिए कि ये इस कंपनी से, फैक्ट्री से कौन सी गैस निकलती है, कौन सा केमिकल है, जिससे अगर कुछ होगा तो क्या चीज हो सकता है। काफी जो कैजुअलिटी वहां हुई, मिथाइल आइसोसाइनेट समझ के लोगों ने उसको ब्लड एजेंट माना, जबकि वो चोकिंग एजेंट था। अब इसमें इनके केमिकल वेपन्स वॉरफेयर एजेंट्स के जो जनरल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं, जनरली लिक्विड, डिसेमिनेटेड एज एरोसोल और गैस, rapidly and skin contact hazard, respiratory and skin contact hazard, may be detectable by smell, influenced by weather condition, persist for months under snow. Symptoms, ये combined symptoms अगर किसी को लगते हैं तो नर्व, ब्लिस्टर, चोकिंग कुछ भी हो सकता है। रनिंग नोज, ब्रीदिंग प्रॉब्लम, dimmed vision, increased salivation, vomiting, giddiness, headache, excessive sweating, pinpointing of pupil and involuntary urination, डिजीनेस, हेडेक, एंजाइटी, पैरालिसिस, कार्डियोवास्कुलर कोलैप्स। अब ये सिम्टम्स आम आदमी को वैसे भी दिखते हैं, तो डिफरेंस कैसे होगा? अगर वो सब लोगों में दिखे, एक साथ पूरे 20 लोगों में ऐसे सिम्टम्स आ रहे हैं, आप सुबह सो के उठते हैं तो दिखता है कि पेड़ों की पत्तियां गिरी हुई हैं, कुछ पक्षी मरे पड़े हुए हैं, तो आप ये प्रेज्यूम कर सकते हैं कि ये केमिकल वॉरफेयर है, केमिकल वेपन अटैक है। और इस टाइप के सिम्टम अगर 10-12 लोगों में दिख रहे हैं तो मान के चलिए ये केमिकल अटैक है। और केमिकल से अगर आप सल्फर मस्टर्ड नहीं है तो मैक्सिमम में वाटर सॉल्युबल चीजें हैं, ज्यादा पॉइजन ना लें, घर के अंदर रहें। और ये प्रिंसिपल सभी के लिए, जो आपने कोविड में देखा, घर में रहिए, लॉकडाउन लगाया गया, यही न्यूक्लियर में भी काम आएगा, यही केमिकल में भी काम आएगा। इसी तरीके से सर बायो एस्पेक्ट्स में भी मेथड्स ऑफ डिसेमिनेशन, ट्रीटमेंट, प्रोटेक्टिव मेजर, इसमें जो बायोलॉजिकल एंड टॉक्सिक वेपन कन्वेंशन, इसी तरीके से केमिकल वेपन कन्वेंशन है, उसका भी इंडिया सिग्नेटरी है। इन दोनों कन्वेंशन में यह है कि हम इसका यूज नहीं करेंगे। इंडिया की एक एक्सरसाइज थी, OPCW ने कराई थी, तो मैं इंडिया की टीम को ट्यूनीशिया लेके गया था। केमिकल उसमें डिपिक्ट किया गया था कि किसी कंट्री पे केमिकल वेपन का अटैक हुआ है, और इंडिया इज ए सिग्नेटरी टू द केमिकल वारफेयर वेपन कन्वेंशन। तो एज ए सिग्नेटरी वी आर duty bound to provide a assistance team. The name of exercise was Assistex 3 that was held in Tunisia, and I led Indian team. That team was a joint team of Army and NDRF. So these are the biological warfare agent, can be used: bacteria, plague, cholera, anthrax, dengue fever, smallpox, influenza, corona, rickettsia, Q fever, epidemic, typhus, fungi, etc. Biological weapons effect, and these bioweapons have been used earlier also. In 1346, plague victim thrown Kafka fort by Tartars, smallpox blanket given to Indian tribes, development of anthrax spore in World War I, biotoxin, ricin and botulinum, etc. Emphasis on genetic engineering. So ये हमने देख ही लिया कोविड में कि बायोलॉजिकल वॉरफेयर इज अ रियलिटी। केमिकल अगर वॉरफेयर नहीं भी है तो अपने इंडस्ट्रीज से लीकेज हो सकता है, और न्यूक्लियर के भी चांसेस इसी तरीके से इंडस्ट्रियल भी हो सकता है। और in nuclear power plant, yeah, dirty bomb, yeah, nuclear attack, everything is possible. Now, as a NDRF officer, I have been trained in Finland, Singapore, and work in Tunisia and in Japan. So I'm trained in India also in BARC and DID Gwalior regarding CBRNE. So whatsoever work we have done, so basically I'm going to cover the Japan ops. I'm going to show you through the slides what all. This is the photographs of the Assistex 3. This is the complete NBC suit and detectors we are using, where we detected a chemical attack on a football match ground. Then Indian team was asked for the assistance and we provided our team, the Indian team in action in Tunisia. This is Mayapuri operation. This is teledetector we are using for the detection of the lost source. And that source was lost and Jan brothers thought that that is a very precious thing. They kept that thing in their pocket and they started some symptoms of the radiological emergencies. The normal doctors were not able to find what is the cause. Then the doctors from the Apollo hospital, they suspected it could be a radiation thing. This is a source. The Mumbai chlorine operation, again I led this operation. Around 750 chemical chlorine cylinders we neutralized. It took around 1 month time. Then Japan operation, that incident happened on 11th March. Being a CBRN expert and expert NDRF commandant, we were expecting our team may get the call. Like General Sir was telling that NDRF's capability regarding the CBRN emergencies. Initially, 8 battalions were raised and the 4 were having the CBRN capabilities. Those were located near the metros. Like Pune battalion was supposed to cover the Mumbai, Ghaziabad battalion to cover Delhi, Arakonam for that Chennai, and Calcutta battalion. So all 4 battalions were having the CBRN capabilities, but subsequently it was found that for sending any chemical leak or for minor or major disaster, so NDMA took the decision and now every battalion is trained in all kind of disasters. Presently we are having 16 battalions in the